Okay, thank you so much to all of our speakers. I'm sorry we're running a little long today, but I think we just had so much good content to get through, and we've got a lot of great discussion in the chat. Um, Feel free to raise your hands if you would like to unmute, but I'm seeing questions, Sinead, that I think we might want to start off with just about steps for those who might be interested in learning about how to introduce labor hopscotch, because that's something we've already discussed with some of our ICI team. So if you would like to talk about that a little bit.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, so I think the first thing is education on how to teach it, when to teach it, and I also think that you can't really start with the labour hopscotch without having the resources to use it really. And the main thing really about education for staff is that teaching the optimal fetal positioning is key, but also I think safety as well. I always am anxious that it's never thought in the wrong way that a woman could injure herself, because if we injure somebody, then it'll just be kind of poo-pooed a little bit. So it just needs to be taught properly by educated people who are educated on the benefits of optimal fetal positioning and getting the baby into the right position without injuring somebody. So also, I think, awareness around when not to teach it. Obviously, when somebody is carrying a breech baby, lunging, squatting wouldn't be appropriate. Obviously, people with placenta previas or any sort of placenta problems that it shouldn't be thought about. So it's really down around education for staff. And then I think resources that go with it, that complement it. We were lucky with the team in the National Maternity Hospital. My colleagues and myself put together nice resources to accompany it. So you can't really send women off and just show them, tell them to go off and do it. You have to actually provide evidence and resources to show them the positions and why they're doing it. And so classes on that followed up with it, but also booklets that they go home and they use as their training manual, throughout the pregnancy. So we had two. We did one in collaboration with the dietitian, the nutritionist, the physiotherapist, and we all put the positions and the benefits of using the hopscotch together in that, and literally a daily activity list for the women to use. And then they also came to classes, and then we went through further positions for labour when they're in the birthing unit. So what they could be doing at home to pre in the pregnancy to try and get the baby into right position was something that's really key. So I think resources are one of the key things. And then when you bring it to your labour ward, I think the most thing that really is that it's visual all the way through the pregnancy. So for us, out on community or in the clinics, that it's visual to the women down in the clinics or before they go to labour, and then it's not new to them when they actually come to the birthing suite. So they've actually adopted it and they know what it's all about before they get there. So I think those are kind of key things that I would say, Michelle, would be the benefit to getting it up and running.
Absolutely. Would anyone raise your hand if you would like to make a comment or ask a question to any of our speakers? Diane, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much for the presentations. I did put two questions in, but that was to hold
Oh,
back.
I'm sorry.
No, I'll do it in reverse order. Thank you very much for Diego to talk about obstetric violence. And I agree with him. Just to call it obstetric gives the wrong implication. Sadly, over the years, I've been a midwife 43. I've seen obstetric or any sort of violence in many professionals. It's nothing to do necessarily with that. It's culture, it's support, it's all the things that has been shared. So I thank him very much for that. From the point of view of hopscotch, I did listen carefully, but I didn't hear the word students mentioned. I wonder how this is embedded into training, because having worked all over the world and teaching, students will often have, great lecturers and educators providing, different types of information about physiological birth. And then when they go into practice, they don't see it. and vice versa. When they qualify, coming out enthusiastic, they then can't practice it in their practice areas. So it's two-way, but I don't think I heard the students being mentioned. I may have just missed them. So if I missed them, I apologise. But any thoughts on that would be great. Thank you very much.
I'll go ahead with that. Thanks, Diane, for your question. I just was in the middle of typing back to you there in the chat. But no, I didn't specifically mention the students, but some of the evidence that we published talks from the student aspect, and I think it was a huge benefit to newly qualified midwives, especially. But as part of the promotion of it, we embedded it into the curriculum at UCD, and Denise at the time was great at helping me promote it through my teaching in the university. So we adapted it in the universities into the curriculum on physiological birth so that it wasn't new to the students when they came on their placements. So they knew what it was all about, and also the students on placements with us as community midwives would have seen it in action before they went back into the labour wards as well. And for newly qualified midwives, I felt this was a huge support to them. The achievement that, some of the research and the feedback from them was hugely empowering and a support to them, that they actually had something to offer the women when they came in and the resources were available to them. And now I think even 10 years later, as a result of the labour hopscotch, students are seeing telemetry monitoring, they're seeing mobile monitoring in the showers, they're seeing the water births now has been initiated because of what women have requested from this. So the scope that it has opened up for education is huge for students. So however, I do realise now being on this side of it that yes, it does take an awful lot of promotion constantly, because I do see that now because I'm tutoring in Trinity College, that there is sometimes a gap with what they're seeing, and I do definitely acknowledge that the induction rate and the cesarean section rate and the intervention rates are creeping huge extent in this country. So things like labour hopscotch, sometimes they get pushed back, and it's up to us as midwives to continuously champion it, and for the women definitely. So you can see from the talk through standardizing education resources and things like that we're continuously trying to do that. And as Denise said in her talk as well about new resources through digital, is really how we need to continue getting it out there to support students and women. I don't know if Denise, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I suppose just to say, Sinead, when you told me about this, I thought it was wonderful. And we formally introduced it to the undergrad program in 2016. So you created it 2015, 2016, the students experienced it. And then also at postgrad as well, Diane, for anyone doing a master's in midwifery practice. So Sinead has been fantastic. It's getting Sinead has become the problem because of the demand on her time. But yeah, no. So yeah, the students have great exposure. And it's funny, I have a module on leadership and empowerment, and every time I ask them recently to, who do you think of an inspirational leader, Sinead gets mentioned because of her work with the Labour Hopscotch, which is great.
That's fantastic. That's really fantastic. And we hear the same comments about the gap between what's being taught to students and then what they're seeing when they actually get out onto the labor ward. So I'd actually had the same question for Diogo about the experience of trying to teach good, respectful practice at the university in Lisbon.
Well, yeah, I absolutely, feel for that also here, because one thing is what we teach them, and I think there's some, both in med schools and also in midwifery schools, there is some difference between what is taught to them and then what they see in practice. And what I have seen over the course of the 35 years or so that I've been working in obstetrics is that in some hospitals it is possible to change practice. In others, it's really very difficult, and I think it does depend a lot on the leadership, on the midwifery leadership. Also, I think that makes a huge difference. And initiatives such as the hopscotch, I think, are essential for us to. I think one of the big problems that we have in interpartum care is in some parts of the world, it's becoming less and less, and the all the knowledge that's associated and the experience that's associated with interpartum care is dying down. We have countries that are in Europe that are reaching 50 or 60, or some of them even 70% of cesareans and the induction rate. So I think that's something that's really worrying, something that we really have to name as a big problem. And I think that there is no doubt is caused by obstetricians. That I would not hesitate at all to call it an obstetric problem, because it is obstetricians who are putting pressure to have more cesareans. And what used to be a problem of Eastern Europe and Southern Europe is now becoming also a problem of the United Kingdom and Ireland. And I think that's very worrying, because it gives the wrong impression to all the world. So I think that's a big problem there. Maybe that's one of the biggest problems we will have to deal with in the short future for if we want to have, physiological and respected childbirth.
Thank you, Diogo. I just want to mention, because we're getting a lot of discussion, this webinar was not intended to be sort of a pre ICM Congress session, but it seems like a lot of people who are here today are going to be all descending upon Lisbon. So for those of you, we are planning to hold an ICI event on June 12th. I've put some comments in the chat, but we can share that. And of course, so Denise and Sinead, you'll both be there, and with the poster for the Labor Hopscotch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be
Fantastic.
there. Yeah, we'll be there during the week now. Probably mightn't be there early now, Michelle, but we'll be there for the conference itself. Yeah.
Fantastic. There was another question about whether you've explicitly included doulas in using the labor hopscotch, either in Ireland or if that's been happening in other countries where you've started training.
It's been, it's publicized here everywhere. So a lot of yoga teachers and other people have come to me. But again, anyone that uses it definitely comes through me too, so that I can just protect it, but also ensure that women are taught correctly. So it's not specifically for the hospitals. Definitely not. We use it at home births and everywhere as well in Ireland. And I just want to reply to Dr. Diego as well, when he talked about the relationship between obstetrics. One of the key successes to this was the multidisciplinary team working together. And when everybody works together, the greater good definitely happens. So definitely the support that the obstetricians gave this project back a few years ago was phenomenal. And I know Professor McAuliffe is online as well, and definitely she was instrumental to us getting published and getting this out there. So definitely when the multidisciplinary team within the hospital works for the greater good, and it's usually for women and babies, huge things can be achieved. And I really think that needs to be reiterated again and again and again, and that if we start working together again more closely, that we definitely can reduce cesarean section rates.
Thank you, Sinead. And we've gotten questions in the chat, so I think that we'll try to go ahead and send out the copies of the slides. We have the recording, of course, from today that will be on the ICI YouTube channel with the subtitles in the different languages. If there's a language that we haven't covered, please let me know. And then I think we can also send out with that email with the links to the recordings, the research studies that are related, if that sounds good. Just trying to scan back through the chat because there's such rich conversation, and I'm afraid we may not get to all of it today. Does anyone else want to put their hand up if you have a comment or question? Oh, hi, Ronnie. Great, you're still here. I know we have some of our partners in Chile and in Austria who are both really interested, keen to try using the labor hopscotch within their facilities. And I think we're seeing some other people who are also interested. No. It's unusually quiet today. Maybe it's the first webinar of the year.
Yeah, so we really want to work together with you, Jeanette. So I'm very happy to write your message in the next few days to see what's going on and if it's possible to bring your wisdom to Austria.
Angelika, could you go ahead and introduce yourself to those who might not know you?
Yeah, so my name is Angelika Rodler. I'm from Austria. I'm a doula trainer and birth worker, and we are working for a better birth future in Austria, which is like everywhere. Yeah, a lot of things to highlight, yeah, that we can do as doulas and in cooperation with midwives and doctors. And yeah, I think we are on a very good way to introduce you to some of our facilities, I hope.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you. I know we have a really large cohort from Ghana with us today. So it's great to see all of you here, and hopefully you're connecting, and we're happy to connect with you as well in the future. So anyone else, any last questions or comments before we wrap up? If not, I'm so grateful to everyone for taking the time today, um, and really for this rich discussion and these presentations that are hitting, I think, so many key topics that really impact all of the facilities that we're working with ICI. So just a big thank you to all three of our speakers today. Wonderful to have you with us, and then we will be following up with people on email. And if you let's see, I'm just checking here to see. Okay, I think we're good. All right. Thank you to everyone for all the excellent work that you're doing in your countries. It's great to have you all with us, and we will try to get those recordings and resources out to you very shortly. Wishing you all an excellent day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much, Michelle.
Absolutely.
Bye,
Thank you.